Hello everyone. This is the 33rd part of the story, I'm Voldemort. Chapter 208 Disagreement. What? Druella exclaimed with a mix of concern and fury. We are not doing that. You are not doing that. After hearing what Tom wanted to do in order to get past the statue, Druella was immediately vehemently against it. It's the only way to get past the statue, Tom says, knowing that she would react this way. No, I refuse. Druella shakes her head from side to side. Let's at least test it without doing something so dangerous. That won't work. The statue only works once per person. If we test it and it fails, we won't be able to enter the vault until our heir is old enough to take over the family, and even then, that's only if he or she is accepted by the heir ring and then the Lord ring. Tom explains further. There has to be another way. I refuse to allow you to remove your original memories from your mind. Do you have any idea how dangerous that is? Druella lectures him with a concerned and stern look on her face. Yes, but the statue will bypass any occlumency barriers and search all hiding places thoroughly. This is the best option we have right now. Tom explains. But, what if something goes wrong and you become brain dead, or you change and refuse to accept your old memories? Huh? What then? No one on this planet is capable of restraining you except the Ancient One, but no one has any idea where she is right now. Druella makes some very good points, causing Tom to pause and think carefully for a moment. Where did you even get this information about the statue anyway? Druella questions further, but Tom completely ignores her for now. He can explain the slutty evil witch in his Luffy ring later. Now, he needs to figure out a way to force his fake new self to put his memories back. You make a good point. I'll be right back. Tom says and wills himself into the realm of death, appearing a meter away from Lady Death herself. Lady Death is currently sitting on her bone throne with her eyes closed. She seemed to be in some sort of meditative state. Are you busy, Death? Tom asks as she usually senses his arrival and greets him instantly. No, I apologize, Master. I'm just peeking in on a little pest. Lady Death says as she opens her eyes and greets Tom with a smile. I just saw you a few moments ago. Did something happen? Tom quickly explains the situation and asks her for her help in returning his memories. Can you keep watch of what's going on and bring us here when we've gained access to the vault? Then all you have to do is restrain me while Druella returns my memories. Tom explained. That's easily done, but Druella would have to be grabbing onto you for her to come here as well. I'm only connected to you, so I can't bring her if you aren't at least touching in some way. Death agrees easily. That won't be hard. Tom nods his head. Just be sure to watch closely. Thanks for the help. Willing himself out of the realm of death and back to the material world, Tom appeared in front of Druella, who was pacing back and forth with a worried expression. You're back. Druella exclaimed. Did you go to see Lady Death? You didn't do anything stupid, did you? No, you made a good point before. What if my new fake self refuses to accept my old memories? Tom says and further explains Lady Death's part in their plans. Okay, but that doesn't remove the possibility of you becoming brain dead or some other mind-related injury. Druella says, still trying to dissuade her fiancé. That won't happen. I've carefully made sure that all of my memories, knowledge, and experience are in the fake memories. Also, there shouldn't be any problem with the handoff. I'm simply going to mentally, through occlumency, hand you my real memories. That shouldn't cause any damage to my mind. Tom explains. What about when I'm putting them back? How am I going to get past your shields? If I have to be forceful, that may very well cause some damage. Druilla keeps poking holes in Tom's plan, which is good since he can fill them and proceed with complete assurance that everything will work out. I'll create a backdoor into my mind and show you before we begin. Tom says, hopefully solving the last of her worries. You really won't give up on this, will you? Druilla asks with a long sigh. Number. Tom shakes his head. All right. I'll help. Druilla hesitantly agrees. Hearing his fiancée finally hop on board with his plans, Tom wraps his arms around her, squeezing her beautiful frame tightly. Thanks, Drew. Tom whispers in his ear. You're welcome. Let's be careful though. I'm still worried about possible mishaps. Druilla replies with her head resting in the crook of his neck. All right, give me a minute to make the back door into my mind, and we'll start getting this done. We still have 2 other vaults to search, so we shouldn't take too long. Tom separates from Druilla and meditates once again. After creating the back door and showing it to his fiancée, Tom and Druilla sat across from one another, staring into each other's eyes. Are you ready to accept my memories? Tom asks, receiving a confident nod from Druilla. Good, here you go. Chapter 209, Changing. Good, here you go. Tom says as they stare into each other's eyes. Activating his legilimency, Tom steps into his fiancée's inner world. Her shields have already been brought down for his arrival. As he arrived, Druilla was already standing there waiting with a worried expression. The love of her life is about to change and she's simply scared of the possible consequences. Tom holds out the laptop with his original memories locked inside. Holds all of my memories. You know what to do. As Tom hands over the memories, Druilla takes them and holds them like a precious treasure. This can be seen as a very strong sign of trust on Tom's part. He's literally handing his entire self to her for safekeeping. If that isn't proof of his love for her, then nothing is. Although it is a sign of trust, Tom hasn't told her the password to use the computer in the first place. It's not that he doesn't trust her to look in his memories, he just doesn't want her to find out about his other life. If she were to find out that she is a fictional character in another world and a very minor one at that, it may cause complications that just don't need to be there in the first place. Tom knows she isn't a fictional character here and loves her dearly. He'll simply keep that secret until the end of time. What is this thing? She asks as she's never seen a computer before. It's just a device I've created that holds and guards my memories. When I leave here and we stop meditating, my fake memories will take over. I'll still want to get past the statue, but I won't know about the old memories. We can't take the chance that the statue will see that and fail me. Tom explains, getting a serious nod from Druilla. Don't worry. I'll make sure everything goes as planned. Druilla says with a confident glimmer in her eye. Good. Before leaving, Tom brings Druilla into a tight hug and captures her lips with his. I'll see you soon, all right? Without waiting for her reply, Tom left her inner world. The second Druilla opened her eyes, Tom was sitting across from her with a slightly confused look on his face. Tom, are you okay? Druilla asked worriedly. Druilla could see that her future husband has a far more innocent expression than usual. It's not that Tom walks around looking like a hardened warrior or evil dictator, but he did have a certain air about him that seems to be gone now. Now, the man that she once knew seems to have disappeared and has been replaced by an innocent boy. Huh? Of course, I'm all right. Why are we sitting? Tom asks confusedly as he stands and turns to look at the statue. Weren't we going to get past the statue? Yes, I was just feeling tired. I don't think I ate enough earlier today. Druilla makes up a random excuse. Oh, don't worry. We'll go and get some food after this. Do you think you'll be all right for now? Tom asks with a worried expression. Yeah, I'll be fine. Let's get past this statue. Druella says as she looks at this new Tom with an unreadable expression. She is doing her best to keep her emotions in check, but seeing her loved one like this is really saddening. Although she can tell that this new Tom loves her all the same, it still feels as though her Tom is gone forever. If she didn't have his memories safe, kept in the most defended portion of her inner world, Druella would be truly freaking out right now. Alright, I'll try and be quick. Tom says and walks to the statue of Arthur, placing his hand on its shoe. Suddenly, a wave of light shines off the statue and scans over Tom's entire body, scanning his bloodline to make sure he's even qualified to enter before moving forward to his mind. After passing the bloodline portion of the test, as he should, the light that scanned Tom's body congregates on his head. With Tom's head shining brightly, the statue started scanning his inner world, bypassing every defense Tom painstakingly put up to protect his mind. When the statue got to the laptop filled with memories, even that wasn't able to block the scan for a single second. Pouring through every memory, experience, and bit of knowledge Tom has ever gained, the statue watched the entirety of Tom's life. Of course, Tom removed anything about his soul merging along with knowledge of the other Earth. While the statue watched Tom's life, judging him every step of the way, Tom re-experienced every second of his life for a second time. He noticed that there are weird blank spots that keep popping up and wasn't sure what was going on. Did he have some weird form of amnesia? Doubts started clouding his mind as the statue kept judging his life. After what felt like an eternity, the statue finished its job and the light retreated from Tom's head and back to the statue. Returning back to the outside world, Tom opens his eyes with a scared look on his face. Do I have something wrong with my memory? He thought as the statue's head became animated once again and looks down at Tom with a small smile. You pass, young Pendragon. I'm happy to have someone like you leading our family. The statue says happily. As the statue finished talking, it slowly turns into a sort of liquid and morphs into a portal in the shape of a doorway. Chapter 210. Although Tom passed the test and gained the statue's recognition, he didn't look happy in the slightest. The fact that there are blank spots in his mind frightened him to no end. Suspicion started seeping into his mind as he suspected someone of obliviating him. You did it. Druella says as she grabs Tom's arm and starts pulling him through the portal. Peeking at his face, Druella could see that something is wrong with him. Tom looked scared, and was that suspicion that crept into his face just now? Quickening her pace, Druella dragged Tom through the portal. As suspicion racked Tom's brain, he let his beautiful fiancée pull him through the portal. He didn't suspect her at all. From what he could see, the memories seemed to be removed from even his time in the orphanage. Druella wasn't around then, so he still trusted her completely. It would take a lot more than some missing memories for Tom to turn on the woman he loves. Love isn't something that can be tampered with, even with magic. Yeah, there are love potions, but they only cause infatuation and lust, which can naturally turn into love over time. No form of magic can give love or take it away. As they stepped through the portal, Tom and Druella were enveloped by a golden light that blinded their vision. As the light died down, Tom and Druella suddenly appeared in a giant royal-looking hall, filled with all sorts of treasures. Mountains of gold. Piles of artifacts. Stacks of rare and powerful weapons. Shelves from floor to ceiling filled with old and dusty books. But none of that drew Tom and Druella's attention at all. In the center of the hall on a golden pedestal is the holy sword itself, Excalibur, but instead of being lodged in a rock as the legend says, it is stabbed into the golden pedestal. The sword itself isn't golden and filled with jewels as the legends would make you believe either. In fact, it looked like any other greatsword Tom has ever seen. Normal-looking steel. Black leather wrap on the handle. A normal T-shaped crossguard. The only thing that stands out from other weapons of its kind is the odd glyphs and runes that run up and down the center of the blade. Even Tom couldn't understand what any of them mean, and he has read every book on this subject in Hogwarts, Camartage, and his own libraries. The fact that he couldn't read them is truly mysterious. Are they alien markings? Tom thought, his earlier suspicion pushed to the back of his mind the second he laid eyes on Excalibur. As they stared at the sword together, Druella held on to Tom for dear life, waiting for Lady Death to bring them to the realm of death. Their mission is completed. Now it's time to bring the old Tom back. As the seconds passed, Druella started getting impatient with Lady Death. Suddenly, she heard a voice in her mind. Have Tom pick up the sword. Isn't it supposed to choose its wielder? I don't know its criteria, but it may not accept him with his old memories. The voice says. After hearing the voice, Druella instantly knew who it was. Is that why she hasn't brought us over yet? Druella thought as she eyed the sword. Why don't you try pulling it? Who knows? It might accept you like it did Arthur. Druella says, wanting to move this along quickly. Hearing her words, Tom broke his staring contest with the sword and looked at Druella. Do you think it would accept me? Tom asks innocently. Maybe, you won't know until you try. Druella says and starts pushing him towards the sword. Getting his fiancée's message, Tom walks up the golden pedestal steps and stands in front of the sword. Staring at the sword with a nervous expression, Tom reaches out, grasps the leather-wrapped handle, and gives it a good pull. Nothing happens. The sword stays exactly where it was, lodged into the golden floor of the pedestal. Give it one more pull, but harder this time. Druella says with a shocked expression. Maybe it doesn't choose its wielder how we think it would? Hearing his fiancée's encouragement, Tom gives the sword another pull, but this time, he used all of his strength. Once again, nothing happened. The sword stayed rooted to the golden pedestal without budging at all. Even with the strength of an avatar, Tom couldn't move the sword a single inch. It seems I'm not the chosen one. Tom says with a small laugh. It's all right. We'll find a way to use the sword. Druella says as she brings Tom into a tight hug. Do it. She thought, hoping Lady Death was still communicating with her. Suddenly, as Druella held him tightly, Tom appeared in the dark black throne room of the realm of death. Huh? Where am I? Tom says as his arms and legs are bound by pitch-black straps. Hello, Master. Lady Death says as she appears behind Tom holding the straps that bind him. Who are you? Let me go. Tom says with a frightened expression. He's tried pulling at the straps in order to remove them, but they're far sturdier than he can handle. Tom. Druella screams, drawing her fiancé's attention. The second Tom looks into Druella's eyes, she uses legilimency and accesses the back door into his mind as swiftly as possible. As she appears in Tom's inner world with laptop in hand, Tom is waiting for her with a betrayed look on his face. What's going on? Why are you doing this? Chapter 211 Fixed. What's going on? Why are you doing this? Tom asked in a tone full of betrayal. This will explain everything. Druella says, holding out the laptop for Tom to take. Staring at the laptop with suspicion in his eyes, Tom looks at his fiancée for a brief pause. I'm not touching that until you tell me what's going on? Tom asks as a glimmer of realization shines in his eyes. Wait, do you have something to do with the blank spots in my memory? Hearing his question, Druella didn't know how to reply. Should she tell him the truth or find a way to trick him into accepting the laptop? After a moment of hesitation, Druella decided to speak the truth. The truth shall set you free, or so they say. Hopefully, the truth doesn't make things worse. Druella thought as she looked into Tom's eyes. It's like this. Druella explains everything to him without breaking eye contact for a single second. She knows that Tom doesn't fully trust her right now, so it was best to show as much sincerity as she possibly could. These are your original untampered memories. You told me to give them to you and you would know how it worked. Druella says, handing out the laptop for the second time. Staring at the laptop for the second time, Tom didn't know what it was, but it did look very familiar. After hearing her out, Tom didn't know what to think, but he did know what he feels. He feels as though he can trust her, so he reached out and grabbed the laptop from his fiancée's hands. Druella watches him expectantly, waiting for him to go back to normal. Sadly, nothing happens. What am I supposed to do? Tom asks, turning the laptop in order to examine it closely. You said that you left the way it works somewhere in your memories. Druella explains without a clue to how it works. Using his perfect memory to the max, Tom tries to remember anything that could have to do with this weird device. Suddenly, Tom remembers something that was out of place. During his time reliving his memories, thanks to the statue, Tom saw a confusing memory of him opening the laptop and putting in a code. Doing as he remembered, Tom opened the laptop and the screen turned on. Enter password. Since the memories of his typing skills disappeared, he slowly typed in the password as slow as a grandpa without his glasses. After a full minute of typing, the long password was put in and the screen changed. As they were already in Tom's mind, the only thing he had to do was unlock the computer. The second the home screen appeared, an influx of memories flooded Tom's mind, filling the blanks completely. Unconsciously, a satisfied smile forms on Tom's face as he felt whole again. Before, he felt as though something was missing, especially after seeing all of those blank spots. Druella didn't need to be told a thing to know that it worked. The second Tom's memories returned, his very presence changed from that of a boy to a capable and hardened man. Running straight at him, Druella jumped at Tom, knocking him on the floor with her straddled on top of him. You're back, she exclaimed as she hugged him tightly. Yeah, sorry for worrying you, love, Tom says as he wraps his hands around her waist. It's fine, Druella says as she buries her head in the crook of Tom's neck. Let's not do something like this again though, alright? Alright, I promise we won't mess with each other's memories again, Tom says as he tries to soothe her. After a moment of silence, Druella seemed to have calmed down. Okay, back to your own mind, Tom says as he slaps her butt. I want to look at Excalibur. I refuse to believe I'm unworthy to use that sword, he says with conviction as Druella dismounts him. Did you have to smack my ass? Druella pouts as she rubs her bum and glares in Tom's direction. It's not my fault you have such slappable cheeks. Now, get back to your own mind. I want to examine Excalibur again. Tom smirks teasingly. Before leaving his inner world, Druella threw one last glare Tom's way and disappeared. Back in the material world, Tom and Druella were still locking eyes as their consciousness returned. Seeing Tom back in the real world as well, Druella smiles happily. She was worried something would go wrong, but now everything seems to be okay. Tom flashes her a quick smile before walking past her and examining Excalibur once again. Staring at the sword, Tom examined the runes and found them very similar to the runes on Thor's hammer from the movie. When he examined the runes before, Tom didn't have memories of his other half's life. Now that his memories returned, he can see the resemblance between Excalibur and Mjolnir. Did the dwarves of Nidavellir make this sword? If that's the case, how did it get here? Tom thought questioningly. After examining the sword one last time, Tom reached out for the third time today and grasped its hilt tightly. Chapter 212 Acceptance. Grabbing the hilt of the sword, Tom pulled with all of his strength, but that didn't seem to be needed. The second he used any sort of force to pull Excalibur, it slipped out of the golden pedestal with relative ease. With the sword in hand, Tom stared dumbly at it with a stunned expression. That was easy. Tom muttered shockingly. Did it not accept me before because my memories were missing? As he held the sword, Tom felt an energy from within it enter his body, empowering him. Congratulations, Master. Arthur says into Tom's mind. Would you like me to explain Excalibur's abilities for you? Yes, what can this baby do? Tom asked as he admired his new sword. It worked. Druella muttered in shock as Tom speaks telepathically with his sword symbiote. Listening to Arthur's explanation, Tom learned what his new sword can do. Excalibur's abilities are: potency, the sword has the ability to kill anyone including gods, immortals, and spirits. Healing, the sword has the ability to heal any and all wounds either spiritually or physically. Durability, the sword is virtually indestructible. Invincibility, when armed with the sword, the user becomes undefeatable. Invulnerability, Excalibur's scabbard offers invulnerability to its holder, making them incapable of being wounded or receiving injury. Magic detection, Excalibur can imbue its user with the ability to sense magic around them. Although Tom trusts Arthur's word, he's taking this information with a grain of salt. Arthur has fought many villains in his time, but he hasn't faced any real threats like Null or Dormammu. Tom believes him about the healing, potency, magic detection, and durability to a certain extent. The others he's not so sure about. Invincibility and invulnerability seem far too good to be true. I'll have to test her out to see what she can really do. Tom thought as he looked for Excalibur's scabbard. There didn't seem to be a single scabbard in sight anywhere near the pedestal. Drew, help me find the scabbard to this thing. Tom says as he and his fiancée start searching the hall. It didn't take them long to find the scabbard on the side of the hall, leaning up against a bookcase. Picking up the scabbard, Tom turns to Druella. Grab one of those swords laying around and cut me. Tom says, holding out his right arm expectantly. What? Why? Druella asks as Tom hasn't told her of Excalibur's abilities yet. Because the scabbard is said to make its holder invulnerable to any damage. Just try to give me a small cut on the arm. If it doesn't work and I get hurt, my regeneration will kick in and heal me up in no time at all. Tom says and gestures to the pile of weapons for her to choose from. Reluctantly, Druella fishes out a small dagger from the pile and stepped in front of Tom's outstretched arm. Ready? She asks, holding the dagger a few inches away from Tom's skin. Yup, go ahead. Tom says and Druella stabs the knife down, scraping down his arm. Looking at her handiwork, Druella and Tom see that his skin wasn't cut or scraped in the slightest. Glancing at the metal scabbard in his other hand, Tom couldn't help but feel impressed at its power. This thing will definitely be useful. I don't think it will be able to protect against any real threats, but we'll have to find out sometime in the future. Tom says as he can't picture this thing working on Dormammu or anyone else of that caliber. Okay, we got past the statue and you have Excalibur. We should probably go and check the other two vaults. I'm sure that your account manager is starting to get impatient by now. Druella voices as Tom sheaths his new sword in its scabbard and straps it to his belt, hanging it on his left hip. True, but we need to clear out this vault first. I don't know if the statue will test me every time or not. Tom says as he tries and fails to open a portal in the vault. I can't open a portal, which means apparition probably won't work either. Unless you want to repeat what happened today for every vault visit, we need to pack all of this up now. Saying that, Tom tries to apparate out and called any of his elves for help, but both failed horribly. Okay, but how are we going to pack up all of this? Druella says as she motions towards the mountains of gold leading all the way to the ceiling. We both have a bottomless bag and our trunks, so we better get started now. We don't want to keep a luck waiting after all. Tom says as he pulls out a leather pouch, opens it up, and starts levitating rivers of gold coins into its open mouth. Sighing in annoyance, Druella whips out her bag and wand and does the same. Though, she hasn't mastered levitation to Tom's level, so her speed at gathering gold was much slower. After almost an hour of just gathering gold, the entire hall didn't have a single galleon remaining. Not even the sickles and canutes were spared. Good. Tom breathes a sigh of relief as he eyes the other valuables strewn about the vault. Next, I'll start working on the books while you store the weapons. Taking out his trunk, Tom starts levitating books into it. Don't bother with the artifacts yet. They could be dangerous, so we'll do them last. This marks the end of part 33 of the story, I'm Voldemort. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe the video to listen more. Hit the bell icon to get notified of all the new content uploaded to the channel ASAP.